Hello there, my Aries collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. I welcome you to your me, them, us reading. It's sort of an extrapolation of the twin flame reads that I do, but like much briefer, much shorter, and not necessarily about you and another person. It could be a relationship between you and anything, any person, place, or thing, because they're nouns. Noun's a special kind of word. It's anything you've ever heard. I was raised on Schoolhouse Rock, and if you don't know what Schoolhouse Rock is, how's your 20s and 30s going? Anyway, let's play. What I'm going to do for this is I'm going to use 5 of my usual decks, the Caroline Myss archetypes, the Healing with the Angels, Oracle, Doreen Virtue, Daughters of the Moon, Tarot, Love Pact, Chuck Spezzano, and the Whispers of Love, which is such a good deck. We're only getting 15 cards on this, no clarifiers. I'm going to do 1 row for you, 1 row for the other person, place, or thing. Maybe I should just call it noun. No, I won't. And then the relationship overall. Now, this is different than the twin flame readings, is because I did that similar structure, but I used those other clarifiers back there, and it took forever, but they were good. I had a lot of fun doing those, and I'll do those again for October, but I'm doing this on the 15th. I'm starting these on the 15th, so, you know, let's give that a little while to settle in, shall we? Let's dive. Here we go. The decks have already been blessed, the intention set, so what I'm saying every time I pull a card, it's just for the benefit of my focus. The right cards always come, especially when you involve the angels, gods, masters, and now higher selves, which is new as of this morning. Here we go, my collective pantheon of angels, gods, masters, and higher selves. Please, what is the dominant archetype for this collective Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising sign, and Venus sign in this us, me, us, them reading? Show me them in this relationship with this other person, place, or thing. This one. For the 15th to the 30th of September. Okay, the Priest. Now, before you freak, there's a lot more to that than what meets the eye. It's actually a lovely card if you're any kind of energy worker. It's kind of cool. It's a good card. I mean, I was a priest. I was a high priest. Now I'm an elder in my coven, so it's like I'll still do a wedding every now and again with spiritual counseling. That's my jam. Teaching, that's my jam, but really only spiritual counseling at this point falls under the priest archetype, though I will do a reading as long as it's not on Halloween. I'm not marrying anybody on Halloween. I don't do that anymore. Did I ever do that? Maybe once I did that. Right. Sorry, that redirected me. So what I'm going to do is build the spread like I did in the twin flames. I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3 so that we know all the archetypes, so we don't have to wait for at least a glimpse of what this is. So would you please, my angels, gods, masters, there you are, higher selves, please. 1 archetype. What is the archetype here? The soul power being developed in or through the other in this me, them, us for September 2019 for this Aries collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, September 15th. To 2019, 15th to the 30th. The addict archetype, you saw that. We'll get into that. Remember, everybody has their addictions. This doesn't mean this person is a lifelong addict, but remember, this could be a place or a thing, right? You might be looking at something. Do I have an addiction to this? Am I addicted to this? Am I addicted to this? Or this could be a place that deals with addiction. And not just rehab. Amy Winehouse, sorry. I think Hermes just like is hitting his, I guess that would be MP12 player in my brain when we do this. I keep doing that. I'll get used to this. Really, by Gemini, I'll have the shuffles down pat in the order of the draw. So same thing, my pantheons. What is the us here? We've got the me of this Aries collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign of the priest archetype. We've got the other, the them, the addict archetype. So please show me the melding of the two. What's the dominant archetype for the relationship itself? How wonderful. The liberator, one of my favorite archetypes. I do not have it lifelong, which would be Chronos in my chart. It comes and goes as a Kairos as needed. I love the Liberator. I really, and it's light. I mean, all of the archetypes in their shadow suck ass. You want me to read them now? Yeah, all right. Oh, thank you. You know, guidance and grace. That to me is what spiritual surrender is. Just saying, Aries, you might find this helpful. Think about spiritual surrender. It's like, okay, I give up. No, it's saying, all right, I get, you're in control. I surrender. You show me, right? I find that as a servant to the gods, I am slave to no man. Loving it. Loving that freedom. So let's look at the priest archetype, shall we? Now, by the way, this is priest, priestess. You know, let's not get gendery on this. If you knew me, you'd know I don't care what your biological gender or your gender preference is. Love is love. Right? Just keep it legal. Thank you very much. And particularly not in public. Don't have sex in public. I'm such a Virgo. Moving on. Light attributes. Facilitates spiritual commitments. Like I said, I will do a marriage here and there. Oh, I'll do a baby blessings. Baby blessings are fine. I'm just there for the kid. It also serves as a channel of spiritual energy, right? So that includes Reiki, because Reiki is not just any energy work, right? It's spiritually guided universal energy. So there's something involved there with the spiritual. And it's not just being a healer, because, you know, massage therapists, counselors, they don't necessarily bring spirit or spirituality or the divine into it. So that really is about being a channel, right? You look at the priest, the high priestess card, right? She's silent, she has all the secrets, but she's a channel, a bridge between this world, the upper world, well, for me, it's the upper world, then you cross the river Styx, and then you get to the underworld. She sits right at the edge of the river Styx for me. Now, the shadow attribute of the priest, we all know, right? Violates the trust of your spiritual community, seduced by your own spiritual role. So if that's a thing going on for you, where you may not identify yourself as a priest or priestess, my Aries, but is the spiritual ego. What the spiritual ego is that the ego learns spiritual language and uses it to beat yourself up and think it's better and worse than other people. So keep an eye on that. That's not unity consciousness. That's not 5D. That's the ego just putting on a spiritual mask. Happens a lot in what I call high priest or high priestess fever. A little bit of a sickness. So the addict. Now, look, we all know what addictions are at this point. But do you know that, my God, 50 years ago, no one discussed their addictions? Can you imagine? How did we survive? With a lot of repression and a lot of chemicals, right? But remember, the addict doesn't have to be just about drugs and alcohol. We all know that by now. So the light attribute helps you recognize and confront addictive behavior, whether it's in you or someone else. So now if this is the other, because it is, that's the meaning of the spread in that position, right? That if this is the other, that whatever it is, this other is, if it can helps you recognize and confront addictive behavior, then blessed be, doing its job. But the shadow attribute compromises integrity and honesty, allows an addictive pattern to have authority over your inner spirit. In other words, it's really only the ego wounds that make us addicts, right? Because we're trying to medicate it and we compromise our honesty and our integrity. It just happens. So whether you are dealing with an addict, because remember, you're in that first position, right? So whether you're dealing with an addict or if you are dealing with the other, just using a pen because it's here, that this is my addiction, well then good on you. We're good. We're moving in a really good direction for this, because finding out what has authority over your inner spirit is only something you can do when you have an addiction in that way, right? So don't beat yourself up for it, right? Because beating yourself up for it would be the shadow side of the priest, right? Abusing yourself with spiritual knowledge, your spiritual role as an awakening being on planet Earth, kindness, gentleness. That's how we get through this stuff. Because lovely, the third here, the us of the two of those together, the liberator. Like I said, just my heart opens. Light attribute, freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs. You can be addicted to a belief. Releasing negative thought patterns, absolutely, but doesn't that also show up if you're beating yourself up? So this is real alchemy waiting to happen here, lead ready to move into gold. Shadow attribute, imposing your own tyranny over those you claim to liberate. Ooh, snapper rapper. Ignoring legitimate constraints. So in other words, you've liberated people, but only so far as you allow them to be. That's not real liberation. But also they're ignoring legitimate constraints. You know, let's just put this in quick context. Let's say that there is somebody who's in a recovery process, and you're the liberator, and you're like, hey man, lighten up, it's your birthday, have a drink. It's like, no. No. We get that one. I can sense you get that. So let's bring in the angels, shall we? You may notice that the first and last decks that I draw are for the entire pantheon. So these are the clarifications for the angels, the gods, the masters. Let's do this. My angels, please. One card to represent this Aries collective sun, moon, rising Venus sign in this us, me, them, us. It's tricky. For September 15th to the 30th. Please show me them in this relationship. Oh, freedom. Hold on to my freedom. I won't let you down. I will not give you up. You see where we're going with here? So the angels are like right on track. So this is about you freeing you freeing others, and experiencing the freedom of spirit, because you got that priestess card. And yes, of the family of archetypes, it is the divine family. So, you know, be doing your spiritual work, or at least be channeling that spiritual energy to yourself, right? Reiki level 1 training. I don't think it's a big surprise that it's 21 days of doing Reiki on yourself, right? I only went to Reiki 2. I don't want to teach it. I got enough degrees. Thank you very much. Blessed be, just not my calling. I'm a teacher in that way, in another way. So let's look at that addict. My angels, please clarify this addict in relationship with, where is this addict in relationship to this Aries collective sun, moon, rising Venus sign, September 15th to 30th. Rock on, healing. Oh, I had a feeling when I started these were going to be a different kind of reading, at least for you, Aries. We'll see what the rest of the signs got. Yes, one more. Oh, y'all are on me today. Where's the moon at? Oh, the moon's in Aries. Good. Oh, good. I'm doing the Aries reading during Aries moon. No wonder. So the rest of them will probably be just shite. Never. It's not the prayer. It's not the meditation. So my angels, please show me. Give us a clue, a tip, a hint about this Aries collective sun, moon, rising Venus sign relationship, September 15th to the 30th. A clue, a tip, a hint, and retreat. That the liberation comes through retreat. Now, if that retreat is rehab, that retreat is rehab. Maybe that's where you met. Maybe that's where you're going. Maybe that's where you're visiting, right? Because people, place, or thing. I don't know. It's for you to suss out on your end. But that retreat is a tactical retreat. It's a healing retreat. Even if you retreat with somebody else, retreat is not a hermitage. It's not the hermit card. We'll see if it pops. But like, I have the hermit archetype. Kairos, not Chronos, not lifelong, very social. But there are times absolutely where I'm like, I must retreat. That is voluntary. That alone, nobody else, right? That's hermitage. Retreat. When I went to Cherry Grove for my birthday week and Brooklyn for my birthday weekend, man, that was my retreat. It was just getting out of the loop, right? So, but for liberation, a liberating retreat, that sounds wonderful. Let's look at what the gods have to say. Now, for those of you new to the channel, each sign of the zodiac is ruled by 1, 2, sometimes 3 gods that sit in a throne. Talk about a Game of Thrones, right? Some there are only 1, they never tag out. Some are 2. Aries has 3, and that's why I wear this 3 ringy thing, either 3 separate rings bound together in one. Aries, Artemis, Hephaestus, right? 3 children of the gods. That's just how who's sitting in my pantheon. They tag in, they tag out. But usually for these readings, it's Aries, but I ask my gods in general, whoever would like to contribute, please, one card. One card to clarify this priest archetype in this me, them, us relationship for the Aries collective sun, moon, rising Venus signs for September 15th to the 30th. A clue, a tip, a hint. Ooh, Ecstasy, Ten of Cups. Great, great, great card. But because it's Inanna's House of Heaven, there's usually some shadows that have to be embraced, some emotional healing, some emotional baggage that need to be dropped. Just saying, read the Myth of Inanna and Ereshkigal. Okay, same thing, my gods, for this addict with healing. Please show us the them in this me, them, us relationship for the Aries collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, September 15th to the 30th play. Now look, this is very light-hearted, right? The Six of Flames is, in this deck, Bastet, the Egyptian cat-headed goddess of the sun. Feels really, really good. Feels really, really healing. But that play with healing and addict, it's like there's something here that this addiction might not be something necessarily overtly external and clinical, right? We'll see. I'm not drawing final conclusions. I keep doing that. I'm telling you by Gemini, I'll know to hold the decks in my hand. It takes me a min or 1,000. Same thing, my gods, please. One card in clarity for this overarching relationship, for the us in this Aries collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus Sun relationship. September 15th to 30th, 2019. This one. Okay. Taurus. That there is work here being done. There is something here of value. There is fertile soil into which things, seeds are being sown, tended, life value, something very, very physical. So really no major arcana cards here, so this is not like a screaming siren, because particularly looking at your angel cards, I'll do this again, that where are you? You've got freedom, the other has healing, and the overall is retreat. Then that really does sort of make sense here, that you've got the card of cups running over, right? Inanna's House of Heaven, Ecstasy. They've got play, and there is something long-term life value here going on here. So this does not feel incredibly toxic. If this is another, that sort of does make sense. Yeah, they're saying don't wait. They're like, don't wait. Don't, comma, wait. Because we've got 6 more cards to lay down, so that will clarify. Okay, at least does. So please, my masters, please clarify for this priest archetype in this Aries collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs for September 15th to 30th. What's going on here? Clue, a tip, a hint. Yeah, fear of commitment. And there's the ball and chain, right? That goes right along with, it's like you're having a good time. But fear of commitment. Now, this, again, can be to another person in this second line, but could be to a process of recovery. Could be to making a commitment to the spiritual requirements necessary for your freedom, because you're feeling it. You're going to be feeling it these next 2 weeks till the end of September. Ecstasy comes and goes. It comes, and then sometimes you got to go. But with that fear of commitment, that's understandable, particularly if you've been enslaved, right? What's the opposite of freedom? Freedom, constrained, enslaved, right? So same thing here, my masters. This addict with healing and Bastet, 6 of Flames, play, please, one card of clarity for them, fear. All right, so we're getting it here. You know, totally possible for someone to be addicted to a fear. Why? Because there's a biochemical component to every emotion. What the bleep do we know? Look up the emotions, sorry, the chemistry of emotions, seriously. So think of someone who, right now this is a term, a colloquial term, an adrenaline addict. Well, adrenaline doesn't necessarily come from a happy, loving, sweet, warm experience. It comes from terror, like jumping out of a plane, right? That someone can become physically addicted. I don't know what the detox process is, because you never want to see me jumping out of a plane or handling snakes or any shit like that. No, thank you. I have relationships. That's where my risks are. Thank you very kindly. And I'm a witch. Life of risk. So please, my masters, please clarify the both in this me, them, us relationship for this Aries collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. The overall for the us. Yeah, lust. Very, very strong thing. Now again, lust can be absolutely an addictive thing as well, right? I lust for it. Really, I'm on the fence about lust as a deadly sin. Not that it's not, but that I feel like it's almost half the deadly sin of gluttony and of greed, and half the deadly sin of entitlement, right? The second chakra deadly sin and the third chakra deadly sin, greed and entitlement respectively. But that means the graces that help heal that are piety and understanding. Something to look into. You might want to have a look-see at my book. I actually wrote 2 books, working on a third. The second one, Words of Grace from a Professional Witch, saved my life because I was going through a dark night of the soul when I wrote it, and it's pretty cool. Go check it out on my website at least. Read the reviews because they're really good reviews. Look at it right here. And I have a brilliant editor. Jill, I know I don't think any of your signs are in Aries, Jill, but I love you. I love my editor. Okay. My collective pantheon of angels, gods, masters, and higher selves, please, a whisper of love for this Aries collective Sun, Moon, Rising sign. The us, the me and the me, them, us, for September 15th to 30th, 2019. Demonstrate love. Find out what is important to the people you love and act on it. All right, so that makes a lot of sense for you as the priest with the freedom. Here, let's do this. There you are, the priest archetype. Really, free. Like, I'm feeling this isn't about you trying to get your freedom. It's like you are in a place of freedom, and maybe it's even emotional freedom, and yet with some sometimes necessary constraints of the fear of commitment. That fear of commitment can be, I don't know how much time I can give to this. I don't know how much, because 10 of Cups, you might be feeling like you can take it on, but there's not, see, this doesn't feel so much like a fear of commitment, well, of being chained to something. That's certainly a fear of commitment. But it's sort of like, I don't know that I can commit to this in general, not just to this person, place, or thing. Do I have so much going on right now, right? The guidance then to demonstrate love, right? And I'll read that last part again. Find out what is important to the people you love and act on it. So yes, there is action involved here, and that might be that thing of, oh honey, my plate is so full, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But do remember that channel of spiritual energy thing in the priest archetype, that you, priestess, you can do this from a distance. You can do this through prayer. And certainly, looking at the other cards here, if this second line, addict, is a person, I get why. It would be a little fear of commitment there, but you can demonstrate love without buying the farm. Or selling the farm, for that matter. So yeah, my collective pantheon of angels, gods, and masters, please stop laughing at me. You're laughing at me. Lovingly so, they say. Please, my collective pantheon of angels, gods, and masters, a whisper of love, and higher selves, a whisper of love for this addict, them in this Aries collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, Sun, September 2019, 15th to the 30th. Just trying to focus in. There you are. Please, a whisper of love for this addict with healing, vast play, and fear. Look at your pattern in relationships. Okay, so the other one in this, really, it would be to their betterment, to their healing, to have a look at their patterns in relationship, and I'll lay that out as well, right? So there we have the addict card, right? All about being aware of addictions, addictive tendencies, right? Confronts addictive behavior, But with that card of healing, we're definitely looking at that confrontation. It's like, what is healthy? That is how I kind of gauge things now. What would love do and what is healthy, right? And if I don't know, I pray and ask, right? I go into that process and something always shows up. And yet with this thing of play, that there's this really nice feeling. Now, I know in other decks, this card can be seen as the victory card, but there's another card, I think it's the 7, which is the victory card. This balance of play, the 6 of things, that there's something harmonious here, that maybe these addictions are in process of healing, and yet then what comes in, the fear card, right? That there's a fear there because perhaps they're afraid of repeating something, so it's best that they look at their patterns in relationships, right? It requires inner strength to recognize that you need to change or modify your behavior. That makes a lot of sense. That does make a lot of sense for the other in this situation. And then hence this retreat card, that really does make sense. If this is a ghosting thing, I don't think you've been ghosted. I think you're both getting really, really clear on what you both want. Yeah, for liberation, you'll see when I lay it out. Because the less it may not feel the highest vibration for you, my Aries priestess. That shuffled much easier, thank you. My collective pantheon of angels, guides, masters, and higher selves, please, one card for the us in this me, them, us relationship. For the Aries collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, September 15th to 30th, September 2019. Love who you are. You are a divine and wonderful person, deserving all the wonderful things that life has to offer. So that's what this overall relationship is teaching both of you. To love who you are. I mean, doesn't that just take self-love to a different place entirely? Not just love yourself, love who you are. And that's why I involve these archetype cards. So you get that they are aspects of the character that you incarnated into as a soul, right? So the liberator, the overall relationship is a liberator. But the relationship may be in retreat. Now, retreat from each other, retreat from the relationship, retreat together. That's going to be individual and the collective for sure. But with this, you know, Corn Mother Taurus card here, yes, maybe someone here is a Taurus or Sun, Moon, Rising, whatever. Go read how I read court cards. But this is about lifelong values. This is like stability and bedrock and something fertile where something can grow long term. Taurus is totally about long term, maybe not as long term as Capricorn, which seems like forever. Still, that earth sign stability there. But that retreat, you know what? If it is for some of you, this probably might be more because you're Aries than half, where it's just like, I need to devour you, and I need you to devour me. If it is that sexual thing, then get that there is perhaps a touch of sex addiction. Addictions are anything we use usually to medicate pain or to pull us away from what we're supposed to look at or need to look at but won't. So maybe there is a touch of sex addiction in there, escapism. But that word deserve, be very careful. Well, I deserve this. I've suffered so much. And then you know you're dealing with entitlement, and where it's like that empty pit that I just can't fill. That's greed. I'm fluent in the deadly sins. Don't be shocked. St. John of the Cross. St. John of the Cross or St. John of the Divine? I have the book. Oh, it's upstairs in my private library. It's my public library. It's in my dining room. So to love who you are, that's what the overall guidance here is. Like, love who you are individually, help each other love each other, right? Particularly you with demonstrate love. Aries and them looking at their relationship patterns totally makes sense. So certainly when I see things like the addict, well, I say to anybody who's watching these things, I'm available for readings. Absolutely, I am. I ain't got a day job. I ain't got kids. I just got to keep my house semi-clean, go on a date every now and again, feed my cats, scoop the litter, do my laundry. Then this is what I do, and I love it. So do reach out. But this does feel like, particularly with the addict and healing, and retreat and freedom. There's a definite theme there with the liberator. Absolutely, so many cards interrelate here, and that all three of the Ascended Master cards here from the Chuck Spezzano Love Pack are problem cards, right? They're all the suit of problem. Then by all means, reach out and ask for help. If you need more clarity, I'd be willing to help. If you've got Skype or Facebook Messenger, this is easy. If not, I can certainly do it over the phone as well. Cool, cool. And if there's another, video call platform that's worth investing in, I'll look into it. Just let me know. Have any comments, please do so in the box, because I try and reply as soon as possible to all of them, considering this is my day and night job. But also please like and subscribe. My numbers are growing up slowly but surely, so every little like. Do you know every time you like something, it makes it available for more people to watch? I kind of knew that, but someone actually explained it to me. Algorithms, ouch. But every subscribe is getting me closer to where I can do super live chats, because I think you have to be at 1,000 subscribers to do that. And don't you want to see me in a super live chat? I think you do. Cool, cool. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching. But for now, my beloved Rams, I love you all so much. My past life sun is in Aries. I hope you're watching, Anthony. But for now, hail, farewell, and blessed be.